This is FilmBookCast.
FilmBookCast.
FilmBookCast, the official podcast of FilmBook. Get ready for the latest in film news, TV show news, and theatrical reviews. FilmBook's podcast starts now.
Hello everyone, and welcome to FilmBookCast, the official podcast of FilmBook. My name is Chris Banks. If you're tuning in to FilmBookCast for the first time, what I do on this podcast is discuss the latest film and TV show news, as well as review an in-theater film. You can find more FilmBookCast on film-book.com by using the search term FilmBookCast. You can also email us at podcast@film-book.com. with FilmBookCast in the subject line. Let's jump right into it this week. Some film news from this week. Ethan Josh Lee is the latest confirmed addition to the cast of Wes Anderson's upcoming film Asteroid City. It currently wrapped production in Spain, and the plot details are being kept under wraps for now, but the cast is stacked. Lee joins a cast that includes Tom Hanks, Margot Robbie, Scarlett Johansson, Bill Murray, Bryan Cranston, Jeffrey Wright, Jeff Goldblum, and many, many others. Anderson is producing with Jeremy Dawson and Stephen Rails. We'll keep up with news about plot details, exciting casting news for Ethan Josh Lee. Some more casting news from film this week. Lawrence Vanelsi's upcoming psychological thriller Mother May I has added Kyle Gallner and Holland Roden to star. Kyle Gallner will appear in upcoming Scream, and Holland Roden is joining him to star in the upcoming psychological thriller Mother May I. The director of Vera also wrote and directed this film. It's currently in post-production in Los Angeles, and it's about a story of Emmett and Anya, who unexpectedly inherit his estranged mother's house after her passing. As they sift through her estate, Anya begins acting more and more like Emmett's mother, forcing Emmett to question if she's pushing him to confront his traumatic past or if she's actually been possessed by his mother's spirit. Very interesting sounding movie. We'll keep up with news about when this movie will be released. Wrapping up the week in film news, Disney said this week that its second film in the Diary of a Wimpy Kid animated franchise is having its second film, Roderick Rules. It's going to be released in 2022. I mean, who doesn't remember Jeff Kinney's mega popular graphic novel series? The first film in the new franchise, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, will drop on the streamer on December 3rd. Roderick Rules is also the title of the second book in Kinney's series following the angsty middle school adventures of Craig Heffley. The second pick was announced this week by Kinney, who serves as the writer and the producer of the new show. Exciting news for kids and Disney fans. That's it for film. This week in TV news, some surprising news from Apple TV Plus. A new limited series titled The Last Thing He Told Me is coming out soon, and Julia Roberts was set to star and executive produce, but the show has given Jennifer Garner her role instead. The Last Thing He Told Me is an adaptation of a New York Times bestseller of the same name. It follows a woman who forms an unexpected relationship with her 16-year-old stepdaughter while searching for the truth about why her husband has mysteriously disappeared. Julia Roberts will step in because Jennifer Garner, I guess, had scheduling conflicts, but we'll keep up with news about this show, The Last Thing He Told Me. Some more TV casting news. Artie Mann, Daniel Quincy Ono, Vondi Curtis Hall, Christian Brunn, Lauren Haddock, Colton Dunn, and Fievel Stewart are set to star as series regulars in a new Netflix untitled CIA drama series. Created by Alexi Hawley, the 8-episode series revolves around a fledgling lawyer played by Centennial at the CIA. He becomes enmeshed in dangerous international power politics when a former asset threatens to expose the nature of her long-term relationship with the agency unless they exonerate her of her serious crime. We'll keep up with news once they release what the title is going to be for this exciting show. Exciting casting news. Rounding out the week in TV news is exciting news for NBC and La Brea fans as it's renewed for a season 2. The show will be back for a sophomore run after the ratings success of the thriller series. It centers on a mother and a son separated from a father and a daughter after a massive sinkhole mysteriously opens up in Los Angeles. The show was the #1 news show for the fall in the adults 18 to 49 demographic. 47 million viewers across linear and digital platforms watched the show. The pilot debuted to 20 million viewers. It was the best launch of any new NBC show, and exciting news for its renewal in Season 2. We'll keep up with news as it trickles out. That's it for TV news from this week. Now let's check out some streaming news from this week. A movie that started to stream on Prime last Friday is an imaginative biopic of artist Louis Wayne, and Benedict Cumberbatch plays the Victorian artist as he rises to prominence in his craft through creating colorful and somewhat kitschy portraits of cats, all while his mental health is a constant state of decline. The Electrical Life of Louis Wayne is now available on Amazon Prime. Apple TV came out with 2 new series recently, as well as a film, Finch, but one of its series is titled Dr. Brain, and it stars Parasite's Lee Sun-kyun. It's a sci-fi mystery, and it follows a genius scientist who is struggling after his family falls victim to a tragic and mysterious accident. In an attempt to discover the truth behind the accident, Sawan invents the process of brain syncing. He uses his innovation to access the brains of his corpses, parsing through the deceased memories for clues. The first episode of the sci-fi mystery is available on Apple TV Plus, and they'll be dropping new episodes every week. A brand new series, also on Apple TV Plus, is The Shrink Next Door. It stars Paul Rudd and Will Ferrell. It's based off a true crime podcast of the same name. The story follows Dr. Izaac and his longtime patient Marty as their bizarre doctor-patient relationship unfolds. As Marty evolves on his therapy journey, so does Dr. Ike, who grows progressively more involved in Marty's life, moves into his home, and makes a play for Marty's family business. Katherine Hahn and Casey Wilson also star in the series, and the first episode is now available on Apple TV+. For those who missed seeing Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, the latest chapter in the MCU in theaters, now's your chance to catch it on Disney+. The action-packed superhero origin story follows Marvel's first Asian protagonist, Shang-Chi, as he grows up training to be an assassin. The Legend of the Ten Rings is now available on Disney+. Now let's check out some TV trailers from this week. An exciting little teaser that HBO Max dropped was Just Like That. We got a first teaser. The sequel series for Sex and the City is, I think, really beautiful in the way the show is a microcosm of life, and it's a really good message to remind people that, especially post-pandemic, that every day we get up is a new chapter, and just like that, everything can change. Check out the teaser trailer for And Just Like That. It will debut its first 2 episodes on Thursday, December 9th. The series will span 10 episodes, and the remaining episodes will roll out weekly on Thursdays after the premiere on December 9th. Check out the teaser for And Just Like That. An exciting trailer that dropped this week comes from National Geographic, and it stars Will Smith. It's called Welcome to Earth. We can follow Will Smith to the end of the earth, literally. It looks like an amazing show. It debuts December 8th on National Geographic. Just to see him in this capacity is really cool, not to mention the things that we're going to learn along the way in some of these clips. Check out the trailer for Welcome to Earth. It'll debut on National Geographic December 8th. The last TV trailer we'll check out this week is one of my favorite trailers I've ever seen from any show. It's from Disney, debuting in the summer of next year, and its title is Baymax. It's everybody's favorite healthcare companion, and he looks absolutely adorable. Check out the trailer for Baymax. It looks like it's going to be genuinely hilarious and just super touching, and good stuff coming from Disney+. It's streaming summer of 2022, and you can check out the trailer for Baymax now. That's it for TV trailers. Now let's check out some film trailers from this week. In what's probably the best, romance in the COVID era film that I've seen is a film called The End of Us. It just came out in theaters, so it's now playing in theaters if you want to go see it. Check out local showtimes. But after a savage breakup, 2 exes must continue living together when California issues its stay-at-home order for COVID-19. Now they'll try to move on without moving out. I love the trailer. It reminds me of the early 2000 great comedy romance movies. Check out the trailer for The End of Us. I think it's going to be a really good movie. It's directed by Steve Cantor and Henry Lovner, and it's also written by Henry Lovner. And it stars Ben Coleman and Ali Vinganio. Check out the trailer for The End of Us. It's now playing in theaters. Another film trailer that caught my eye is Being the Ricardos. Nicole Kidman and Javier Bardem star as Lucille Ball and Ricky Ricardo. Being a massive fan of the show I Love Lucy, I'm really excited to see this portrayal. I have no idea about the marriage, the story of her life, the struggles of putting on the show, the demands of being Lucille Ball, and being the Ricardos in that period of time where they really were an anchor of American culture. Check out the trailer for Being the Ricardos. It'll come out in theaters on December 10th, and it'll be on Prime Video December 21st. The last film trailer we'll check out this week is a very touching and awesome trailer coming from Disney. It'll start streaming February 18th. Who doesn't love a modern Cinderella? Sneakerella is going to debut, like I said, on February 18th, and it's just a modern twist on, Cinderella within the New York City sneaker culture. It's just awesome the way that this looks like it's going to be. It's directed by Elizabeth Allen Rosenbaum. It stars Colton Stewart, Lexi Underwood, Chosen Jacobs, and many others. Check out the trailer for Sneakerella. It will debut on Disney Plus February 18th. All right, time for this week's movie review. For this week's movie review, we're checking out Clifford the Big Red Dog, directed by Walt Becker. It stars Darby Camp, Jack Whitehall, Kenan Thompson, David Alan Grier, John Cleese, Tony Hale, and many others. When Emily Elizabeth meets a magical animal rescuer who gives her a little red pup, she never anticipated waking up to find a giant 10-foot hound in her small New York City apartment. With her single mother away on business, Emily and her fun but impulsive uncle set out on an adventure that takes a bite out of the Big Apple. Walt Becker and Paramount Pictures bring us a great adaptation of everybody's favorite Red Dog. Clifford the Big Red Dog is a pretty good adaptation of a beloved classic. The actor who plays Emily, Darby Camp, is a normal girl in 3rd or 4th grade, we'll say. I loved the way that the film depicted her family. She lives with her mom. They don't have much money. They live in a rent-controlled apartment. And I just really thought that the way that that was presented, it was a really beautiful dynamic in the story. Jack Whitehall plays her crazy Uncle Casey, who we meet living in a van, but who ends up coming to babysit Emily. And the dynamic between Uncle Casey and Emily is really awesome. I love the way that they wrote Jack Whitehall's character. He plays the character perfectly. He actually reminds me of the same character he played in Jungle Cruise. It's really well done the way that they do this dynamic and the relationship between Emily and Uncle Casey. John Cleese plays Mr. Birdwell, who ends up giving Emily this little red dog. It's really beautiful the way that they presented Clifford's story and how he became who we know him to be. I would have loved to have seen what Disney did with an adaptation of Clifford, but I think that Paramount Pictures do a really sound job giving us some backstory about Clifford's life and really just bringing us into why he is so big. Mr. Bridwell's character, John Cleese, has a great line that's when Emily asks him, how big is he going to get? He says that it depends on how much you love him. And it's a great lesson for us as people, because the amount of love that we give our kids, really does contribute to their growth. And the way that they intertwine this into the script, I thought was a really beautiful thing to do. And it's really cool thing to do. Tony Hale plays an evil scientist kind of character named Zach. He's trying to rid the world of food shortages by growing artificial food, basically. And when he sees a picture of Clifford, we get set on a journey of Zach's character trying to basically steal Clifford. And I won't ruin the storyline for those who haven't seen the film, but it's just a really cool movie overall. I think it's really well done. It's well written. Kenan Thompson is in this film. So isn't Rosie Perez. I mean, it's a solid film. I won't give away what happens. All the adventure that we go on with Emily and Clifford and Zach and Uncle Casey is really cool in that it's a good family movie. Worth your money if your child loves Clifford, this film is a good movie to go to the movie theater and go check out. It's also streaming on Paramount Plus. I would give the movie a solid 8 out of 10. It's a really good adaptation of a book series and a cartoon series. The CGI was a little too much, I think. They could have toned it down a little bit. Sometimes fake dogs end up looking too fake, and that's my only criticism of this movie. It's a really good movie. It's well done. The cinematography is really good. The storytelling is good. It could have been a little better. That's why I kind of wish that Disney adapted it, but it's really good acting. The emotion behind the story's really good. It's great comedy. It's great for kids, great for families. Better than I thought it was going to be. It's a very solid movie, definitely worth your money, and it's a good time for everybody. Overall, it's a really solid movie and good humor, and it's a good time, and I hope take your kids to go see this movie because it's a really good movie right before the holidays too. It's fun. There's nothing controversial in this movie. It's really well done. So go check out Clifford the Big Red Dog. I hope you like it as much as I did, and thanks so much for checking us out. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of FilmBookCast. You can find more of my work on film-book.com. Just search for Chris Banks or FilmBookCast. You can also find me on Twitter. I'm at cbanksy. That's S-E-E Banksy. I'm also on Instagram at @TheChrisBanks. If you listen to this podcast on iTunes or another podcast service, please rate and review this episode. If you're listening on our YouTube channel, FilmBook Podcast, please like our video, subscribe to our channel, and leave us a comment in the comment section. It really helps other people discover our podcast. Please also becoming one of our patrons on Patreon at patreon.com/filmbook. Your support helps us create more engaging content. You'll find our Patreon link below in the description. If you want to tweet about this podcast, just use the hashtag FilmBookCast. Tune in next week for the next episode of the FilmBookCast. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you then.